Welcome
Okay.
in, world. It's your boy, Big Jax. We are here with the Locker Room Show. We got our crew in the house. 10-year NFL vet, my man Steve Martin is in the house. What's good, Steve?
Peace. What's going on? You know it. We doing
Good
it.
to see you, brother. Rev, man, you guys ought to hear the stories that Rev can tell. I'm telling you, man. I swear. Rev, it's been how many years were you a chaplain in the league, Rev?
Oh gosh, they'll tell you 3 or 4, but I've never really left. They still call.
Still calling.
So,
Well,
yep.
there there's always more to call about, I'm sure, because somebody's always doing something. Somebody needs some spiritual healing
Man,
somewhere.
I'm
You
glad you
called it,
said
man.
spiritual healing. I
Yeah,
thought
you
you were
called
going a different way there with
No,
the Randy Jackson. Okay, so here.
well,
You
I tell
called it,
you
sir.
what, some guys will need some physical healing. Some of these teams are gonna need all the help they can get right now as we are looking at the wild card weekend. So we're gonna talk plenty about that. We're gonna talk a little bit about my Chiefs and of course, as the number one seed, in my opinion, the overall number one seed. Of course, you got the Lions on the other side in the NFC. That's the number one seed as well. And then, like I said, it's wild card weekend, so a lot of good matchups there. We're gonna hit a little bit on this college football playoffs as we're winding down, getting closer and closer to this national championship game. And then we always gonna talk a little NIL portal information too. This week we're talking about states that are permitting NIL money going into the high school level and some that are not. So we're going to get a chance to talk about that too. But we got to kick it off with my Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sorry that's how we do it around here. But number one seed, they looked horrible against the Broncos, but who cares? Uh, people talking about they threw the game so they wouldn't have to play Cincinnati. That's craziness. But as the number one seed, getting the opportunity to rest week 18, getting this bye week as well, looking better than they've looked all season in their last two games before week 18. Steve, I'm excited. I don't know about you, man, but I think this team is going to be prepped and ready for this three-peat, baby.
I've said it from the beginning. Uh, their whole style was to prepare for the playoffs because
Yeah.
playoffs is the second season. And they turned it on like they were supposed to. They turned it on the last 4 weeks. They've gotten better playing a little more soundly, having more success in the earlier downs, which made it easier for them to keep up towards the end so they didn't have to fight for the last minute and a half or 30 seconds. So they're doing exactly what we all hoped it would be. They're turning out exactly like I said they would do. They're doing a new style of football that nobody else is doing. They are literally playing the first 17 games to get ready for the second season. Because, like I say, when you get to the playoffs, it's not the same as the regular season. Because in the regular season you're playing for statistics because that's what gets you your next contract. But when you get to the postseason, you're playing for legacy. And when you're playing for legacy, you're going to do a lot different style of preparation. And when I say it, I shouldn't say it's a lot different, but you're going to be far more focused on your preparation, your body care, and making sure that because you got to find a way to have legs in the latter part of the season. So because it just doesn't happen, you lose your legs, and people have no idea what it's like when you hit November, especially coming right out of college. I came out of college and I hit November and I was done because we didn't have to play past November unless you got a bowl game. And when I was in college, I didn't have a bowl game, so we were done in November. But the players and what you do to prepare is everything. Every play counts. Every moment counts. There is no tomorrow. There's no next play. There's no next week. If you don't pull it together, come the playoffs, you're one and done. And that's it. It's the finality of your season. It could be your career because you never know when your career is going to end. So you don't try to take it for granted. You don't take those moments and I worked my entire life to be in the playoffs. And if it's a wild card, it's wild card because there's been a couple wild card winners that have gone on to the title games. I can't. I don't know how many have won the Super Bowl, but certainly just getting to the title game is a lifetime achievement because that's what everybody fights to get to, and that's to get to the Super Bowl. So this is going to be an exciting weekend. Great competition. I think everybody that's made it to the playoffs had to fight for dear life to get there, and we're going to see what everybody's really made of because you talk all the shit you want to talk, you got to perform, and that's the bottom line.
Yes, sir. Rev, what do you think about it?
Well, when Steve starts talking about legs, it's also the head. At the end of the 18th week, you know, some people are thinking about Boca, some are thinking about Guadalajara. They're ready to get out of town. Okay, and
1, 2, 3,
the
Cancun.
come on, let's talk. Let's try.
Yeah,
Hey, and I think the reality for a lot of different teams that are is how many of your guys are thinking about those three places versus what they're what they should be doing in their next game because it's a long season, as Steve said. A lot of guys aren't prepared past November in college, and now we're talking the middle of January, and it's not just a grind on your legs and body; it's a grind on your head, uh, mentally. Where you at? How have you handled maybe some diversity as well as some adversity? And what I mean by diversity is, there are things that happen just like with the Chiefs where, hey, maybe you were one of those bubble guys that you just went out and laid an egg against the Broncos. You're thinking, man, they may not keep me on here. Whereas the adversity is this: uh, if you're Pat Mahomes, thank goodness you've had a couple weeks. His ankle's going to be fine, and that being fine is not good for the opponent, but it's great for the Chiefs. Guys that need to get healed up, they're getting healed up physically, but they're also getting healed up mentally and getting ready for this second push. It's just like we were talking about before we pushed play. Hey, there's a whole nother bag when you win these playoff games and the Super Bowl. There's some nice incentive there. So what ends up happening is these guys they're cheerleading for that money they've lost in the back of the airplane. Oops, did, did, did I say that? The real factors that I'm going to be looking at is like Steve said, got hey, we're going to be looking at guys' legs, see whether or not they kept them or they're in shape, and the other is whether they lose it at the end of the first half and at the end of the second half, because those are the what I call the judges. That's where you've been on the field and you may see the adversity diversity, and this is where a guy will cash in his chips sort of. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these teams have. We've kind of seen it uh, with San Francisco this year. It's not the fact that San Francisco isn't a good football team. They are a well coached football team. Like or hate Kyle Shanahan doesn't matter. Okay. He's a good football coach, but you cannot overcome that many injuries. You just can't. Now, I say that, and Dan Campbell's defense in Detroit comes to mind, where that's a different mentality. If you remember what he said at his very first press conference, he said, if we get knocked down, we're still going to what? Bite some kneecaps.
Bite kneecap.
Hey, come on. When you say that to me, that lets me know at any cost, necessary. We are going to play this game. And in the NFL, you got guys. Hey, these some prima donnas. These guys, they, they get it. They get a big bruise, and it might be a week or two. Okay, it's a different game than what it was even 15, 20 years ago when Steve started playing. I mean, I don't want to go into it, but guys used to walk some of those injuries off. They don't do that anymore. Uh, Concussion protocol, whether you like it, love it, hate it, whatever, is there for a reason. It's there to keep guys intact. Now, whether or not you agree with it, that's totally different. It's week. We're past week 18. We're now in the playoffs. We're going to watch the cream rise to the top, as Randy Macho Man would say. And you're going to see the teams that were chumps start declining. It's going to be in their legs, and by the fourth quarter, it's going to be in their head. Watch, it goes from ground all the way to the air, and but you're going to see some good football, and I think we're going to see some really good football come out of some teams that we may be shocked to say we didn't think we had it in them. I I'm one of these closet uh, Washington Commanders. I like the quarterback. I think what he's doing is he's a silent but deadly killer. And meaning if he's sticking around that fourth quarter, ask Mike McCarthy what he did to him last week. Took that
Absolutely.
lunch money. He took his lunch money. And I mean, you, you've got teams like the Vikings they could have been the first seed. Now they're the what? The fourth, fifth seed,
Fifth
and
seed.
They got to play LA in LA.
Yep.
I don't know. Sean McVay always has a bag of tricks. He's like that rabbit on that cereal box. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, and like you mentioned, we can kind of start there. Rams will host the Vikings on Monday night, which ought to be, which I think is crazy that they're playing Monday night playoff game.
Well, I think that with the Monday night playoff game, what you really have is you've got big television, Jax,
Yeah,
and that big TV money's coming.
yeah.
They're going to always try to, and hey, there's going to come a day when, as soon as the season's over, they're going to start playoff games.
Oh, I'm
Hey,
telling you.
they did that. That's nothing unusual because I think we played a Thursday night when they were first trying to figure out how they were going to push Thursday night into the lineup, and we played. I think we came to the Chiefs and played on Thursday night, if I recall, when I was at the Colts. So it is, but I will say this, that you made me think of something there, Rev, when you was talking about it, was that chemistry that the coach develops with this team is imperative. Because I
Yeah,
do remember going to Philly and having to play Philly at Philly, and I think Tice had called a dumbass. Either we kicked it or we didn't kick it or something. It was a bad call by him, and we were mad as hell going on the defense that next series. Like, that, I can't believe he did this. Yada yada. We were fussing and cussing, and it's like we weren't focused on the play.
right,
And when you got that good chemistry, like when I was at the Colts, it didn't matter. We didn't give a shit.
right,
You call whatever the hell you got to call. And much like you said, like Detroit's got his guys. They're ready to eat kneecaps off. And when I was at the Colts, that's what we were ready to do. That's when we came into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs in the freezing rain. And the Chiefs were 13-3, and we were 9-7, barely got into the playoffs, and we came in and beat the Chiefs. But we were a nasty ground. We did not have. We had Marshall Falk and Jim Harbaugh. We did not have anybody else, nobody that you would know anyway. But we were just grimy, and we were ready to go and do whatever it took. And we come into the nastiest place to play. For that, the turf was, there was no turf; it was mud, but it was freezing. So I mean, we just came into a nasty situation. But we were literally coming in biting people's knees. Yeah, because we had to. There was no tomorrow if we didn't. and
right,
then wound up losing to Pittsburgh in the AFC title game. That was back when they were debating on replay too. If we'd had replay, we'd have won that game. So this is going the wild card games are always the most exciting, and it's a blessing and a curse for the first seed. It used to be first and second seed when I played.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes that 1 or 2 weeks off is dangerous because you're getting that dog that just got out of that bar fight, and snarling. You're ready to kill somebody, and
Right,
the first seed's been sitting on their butt eating bonbons and crumpets and shit, and we're out there, just dogs eating off the earth, and that can bite you in the ass. It's not always a great thing. I would say this though, I'm sure guys like Chris Jones is happy as hell, and all of the secondary they need some legs back because they're
yeah,
tired. They had to carry the team the whole season, so they need that rest. The defense definitely needed the rest. I don't know about the offense, but I know the defense needed that rest because having to cover them guys on goes and posts and corners every single play, every single time, and you're getting everybody's A+ game. You're not getting their we're just gonna have to get through this game. No, they're trying to kill you. So yeah, the Chiefs definitely got to take the advantage of it, and the guys that do need to work, they just need to keep working, and you got to know who you are too.
So other than that Rams and Vikings game, you got Tampa. They got Washington coming in. I heard you, Rev. You mentioned the quarterback kid out there. I think Baker Mayfield has done an absolutely great job this year
yes, he has.
of keeping that team in real contention. And so that's going to be a really good battle. And then Philadelphia, Green Bay. I mean, I think Saquon Barkley is truly the MVP of the league, but of course he's not going to win it because he's not a quarterback. But that's a formidable foe if Jalen Hurts can play. That's a tough team. Philly's going to be a tough out.
He practiced today,
And,
so he's probably most likely going to play.
Yeah.
and they're at the link, and they're in Philly.
Right.
And, hey, if you ever been to Philly, and Steve played in Philly for Philly,
And
Philly's
again,
just a different animal.
it's
They're just a
the
different animal.
because you got the longshoremen. That's well, at least when I was there, the majority of the season ticket holders were the longshoremen. They're all the people that built the ships there in the Philly yard. So they were blue collar guys. They made a lot of money, but they were real to the earth. Like when I was there, Michael Irvin got hurt, and they had a stretcher come out and take him out, and we looked all the way up in the upper deck, like right below the lights, and we saw a dude in an '88 jersey, Michael Irvin jersey, rolling down the steps, and he was being escorted by a bunch of Philly fans, hitting him and kicking him on the way down. That's
Oh
Philly.
yeah, yeah.
That's
They
Philly.
cheered when Mike Irvin went down. I
When he went
remember
down
that.
and when they
Yeah.
carried him out, they were cheering like, "Yeah, he's down." And no lies, it didn't hurt us.
It's like Kansas City, but meaner. It's like a real
Oh no!
mean.
I look. Kansas City is the best place for fans and the best place for the football energy next to Lambeau. That's what I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
Philly,
You could wear a jersey from an opposite team and not get mugged. Philly,
yeah,
you
Philly,
got your life in your own hands. I
yeah,
mean,
it's
I
on it.
used to tell people like, "Hey, if you want to wear that, you might as well throw on a coat because you're not going to get through
You're not
all
getting
of
no
the
love.
different crowds without somebody saying something that might offend you." And here's the other part: don't turn around because there's 60 of them just waiting.
They're
Wait.
waiting.
So
And I say that I don't know if it's the longshoremen or not. I just say it's the blue collar atmosphere of being in Philly because boy, they harassed my family when they came because they were wearing Minnesota gear, and Pep's wife she got harassed. Boy, it was
oh
just
yeah.
mean. Boy, that Philly is not. You cannot be soft going into Philly. I promise.
Big J, I mean, the whole reason, I used to tell people was The only stadium that has their own jail and presiding judge was Vets, and that's in Philly. Was in Philly. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I
you
don't know.
can't get more.
They tried to up the
You
class of people that come to Philly games, but unfortunately, you still talk about longshoremen who they they live and die for the Eagles. They live and die for Philly
yeah,
sports.
And they
yeah,
got the best cheesesteak in the world. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. You
they
cannot get a
really do.
cheesesteak anywhere else in the world like you get it in Philly. God.
Well, there's this one spot right off of the main. I can't remember the name of the main street going into downtown, but there was a 400-pound fat dude cooking the cheesesteak, and he was just sweating all into. It's
You
like
know,
Sweating
hey,
the
he's
cheesesteak.
got good food.
it's like it got to be the sweat that's going into the meat.
Ishkabibbles.
It was
Ishkabibbles.
good.
You can't
Well,
trust a skinny cook, guys.
No.
never. Never. Well, and so beyond the NFC side, we also got to take a look, obviously, at the AFC side. I want to start with
Right.
this Houston and Chargers game because, of course, that's a most likely opponent for the Chiefs in the first round. I think Houston is just spent. I mean, I just don't think they have anything left to give. And of course, Harbaugh and the quarterback out there, Herberts, are kind of getting ready. I think their team is not quite there yet, but they are getting ready. They're going to be a real challenge going forward. So I really think the Chargers are going to, do their thing with Houston this week.
See, I think it's one of two things. I think it's probably going to be the Chargers, unless the kid figures it out. Because what he hasn't figured out, he's had a Rolls Royce of offensive guys to go to, but with injuries throughout the year, he doesn't know how to adapt yet to what he has, as opposed to because when he's a learning quarterback and he's young, so he's got to learn the ropes. So he's not at the position where he can make somebody good. He's just got to take what he's got and make it happen. So he's not there yet. He could pop. It could happen this week. You never know. It's the playoffs. No one knows what the hell's going to happen in the playoffs. Shout out to Jim Harbaugh because he's a tremendous coach. Because he's still playing. As far as he's concerned, I can see it in his eyes. He's still playing through Justin Herbert.
Oh,
So
yes, he is.
he's going to give Herbert everything he's got, and I'm beyond I hate that they're the Chargers, but it's a testament to who he is as a coach. Like, man, this guy, he knows how to get into a man's soul and just motivate you from within. So he's just got to Herbert's just got to have the confidence himself. I definitely feel like Jim's giving most of that confidence to him, but we're about to find out because the playoffs are the playoffs. There's
Yep.
no tomorrow. So I would say the Chargers probably over the Texans as of right
Yeah.
now.
And then you got Pittsburgh, Baltimore again. Pittsburgh looks just spent, like they don't have anything left at all. Uh, and Lamar is playing out of his mind right now, bro. Like,
But that's what I love about the NFL is because Pittsburgh may look spent, but they may just been like, we're gonna hold our shit for this again. Because keep in mind
Divisional game.
they already fought.
Divisional game.
They already fought them twice. They know who they're going against. They're like, okay,
Mhm.
they got to a point, in my opinion, in the last game where they's like, you know what, we probably ain't gonna win this one. We could either give it all we got to win this, or save what we got to the next week. And like I said, the thing everybody's fighting for is legs. Whatever it
Right.
takes to have some legs, because that's the first thing in the fourth quarter that's gone is when you're taking off after the ball and you try to pop it into that third, fourth, fifth gear, and it just you got to know what that feels like. You got to go through it to know what it feels like. And I think that Pittsburgh is going to be a different Pittsburgh than you saw in the last 4 weeks. They're going to be out there selling the farm because they got to. There's again, they know
They're
it's
the Pittsburgh Steelers.
yeah.
And whether or not you like them, love them, hate them, or indifferent to them, Pittsburgh just seems to always be there. And with Tommy as the head coach, there's a reason why he's the longest sitting coach in the NFL. Uh, At some point, they just find a will to win. Now, do they beat the Harbaugh Ravens? I think it's just like Steve said. You're going to end up at the end of the third, fourth quarter finding out who can run the football. That's what these teams do, and and whoever can run the ball at the end of the game wins that game.
Now, see, for me, I'm looking at this Broncos Bills game, and I keep saying to everybody, man, the Bills better watch their ass. You feel me? Because I really think this Broncos team is much better. Not based on what they did last week against the Chiefs, but we
Right.
talk about a real defense that was good last year and is probably even better this year. And now they got a quarterback that kid can play. Uh,
Yeah.
and and,
So
and
hold on. I'm gonna say this. I've never seen a rookie come in and burn up the playoffs. I never seen it happen. Not saying it can't happen, but it's very, 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 very rare that a rookie's gonna come in and light up the sky in the playoffs. What's gonna win in the playoffs is running and defense. That's what's gonna win in the playoffs. So I'm really excited that Denver is where they are because that's going to be a tough, tough challenge for Buffalo to get through that defense because they're going to fight. I'm
yeah,
confident they're going to show up and they're going to fight. And anything that slows Josh Allen down, beats him up, nicks him a
yeah,
little bit, I'm happy for. So by all
absolutely.
means, I'm excited about this being a good game.
Well, I think with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, you've seen some coalescing,
Yeah.
where they're starting to really communicate. And what has to happen at some point during the season is the quarterback has to have the mindset of the coach, and that means that he has to be confident. Just like Steve said, we had a coach. He called a play. We're out there fussing and cussing because you know what? It just seems absurd. And then by the same token, on another team, they called probably a play that's just as bad, but yet everybody's willing to, you know, go the extra mile. Bo Nix in the last month has probably coalesced with what Sean Payton is wanting to do. And Sean is one of these coaches in the NFL that the moment that you think you know who he is, he throws something else at you. We're talking about a guy that onside kicked at half. Okay, I don't know if everybody remembers that. I do.
Absolutely.
Uh, this is somebody who will go away, will go against conventional style in order to make a play to catch a team off guard. That's what's going to happen with Buffalo, because Buffalo, in my opinion, is the second best uh, team in the AFC, right behind Kansas City. In fact, we know they beat Kansas City head to head, which is really Kansas City's only loss. I mean, let's give up the Week 18 one. That's it. What we call a
Hey,
gimme.
we're not even worried about that one.
Right, exactly.
We're not even worried
But
about
Buffalo in Buffalo, okay, there's two different animals going on there. It could be nice, meaning the sun could be out in Buffalo, or everybody could have a shovel in their hand, digging out from what Buffalo usually ends up doing, and that is shoveling snow to get to their seat this time of the year. If it's the latter, the Broncos don't have a chance. And the reason they don't have a chance is that feeds right into Buffalo's mentality. Bill's Mafia, I mean, these people dump ketchup and mustard on their face and jump on tables, okay, in the middle of winter. That's what they do. And so the reality for the Broncos is if you could see sunlight when you peek out the curtains at 6, 7 a.m. from your hotel bedroom, it's going to be a good day. If you can't, pack that lunch. it's going to be a long day because Josh Allen is going to go all over the field. I think we're going to see uh, the reemergence of one Amari Cooper.
Mm.
So,
Well, like I said, I think they definitely that's going to be a good game. That's the game that I'm watching the most this weekend because I think that Denver's going to give Buffalo everything they can handle. So we'll see what happens with that. Again, these wild card weekend is without a doubt my favorite weekend of the entire
yeah,
season. You got teams just battling it out for survival to try to get to the next round, and it's just game after game after game. I can't wait, man. It's gonna be beautiful.
Like I said, I remember in our wild card shot when I think it was my second year, we were 9-7, and I was at the Colts, and we barely got in, and we had to claw. We didn't play one game at home. Everything was on the road, and every environment was extremely hostile.
Yeah.
And you just had to go in to hell with this. I don't give a damn who it is. I had got my I was on my rookie deal, so playing in the playoffs, every check was half my salary from the whole season. So I was like, let's go as far as we can, guys. I'm trying
Let's
to play.
go.
Go. So yeah, but I was just doing anything and everything we could do to win. It didn't matter. And trust me, all of the games were ugly. All of them were
yeah,
ugly. There wasn't no nice, beautiful stats. Oh, they rushed for 100 yards. No, they rushed for -5. No, they gave up 450 yards of offense. They threw the ball for 380 yards. They ran the ball for 220 yards. They won the game by 1 point. That's what it is. It's ugly. People don't understand. And when you that wild card donkey that shouldn't have been there in the first place, you're like, what the hell we got to lose? And that
that's
mindset,
right.
whoever gets that mindset, and it's usually the worst team that gets that mindset, boy, they come in there ready, bull in the china shop. And then what you get a lot of times is the teams that think, oh, well, we're the number 2 seed, so we're going to be okay. We just got to get through this game. And you get that team that's looking past you. That's how we beat the Chiefs. That's exactly how we beat it because they weren't looking at us. They were looking at somebody else. And
Right.
because they were looking at us, pop, right in the mouth.
Right in the
That's
mouth.
If you're a 10-7 team, if your record is 10-7 right now going into playoffs, somebody's overlooking you, as well as the fact that some of you, hey, that's the only thing you're looking at is the fact there's a bag at the end of this game, as well as the fact is, well, we got to lose. We're 10-7. We barely made it the
we weren't
train,
supposed to be here. We weren't
but
supposed
we're on the train.
to.
And
Yeah.
since we're on a train, let's make it the longest train ride we can.
And make
And
everybody's game hell. We're gonna bring number hell. We don't
that's
care.
right.
We don't care. We just there to make a
And
play.
major conductor for the old 9-7 before the 18 game streak was a kid by the name of Eli Manning. The New York Giants won both Super Bowls at 9-7 with an end of the year record. And I think that hey, nobody cares about records after you say Super Bowl champ. So
Well,
they
and
also beat they also beat the Patriots who
yeah,
hadn't lost a
17 0
game
Patriots. You're right.
Yeah,
that year.
Yeah.
that's true.
Well, and you talk about that, and this is a little bit off the sheet, but that made me think about Spags, who is now being rumored as a possible head coaching position. And you mentioned Mike Tomlinson earlier, being the longest tenured head coach. It's incredible to see these coaches just fall. Like I think these organizations are absolutely nuts for bringing these guys in and firing them after 1 year. And what did you
I do
prove?
too.
Well, why did you
Right.
do that? Like, what's the point? It makes
What's the
no sense to me.
investment? Right. What's the
The
investment in bringing in an Antonio Pierce
Right.
into Las Vegas? Okay, with hey, it's the Raiders. It's not like they haven't had any problems. Anybody remember Ruggs? That
Right.
name should
well,
speak volumes.
but also think about, especially the Raiders. They're 107 million under the cap. You didn't
Yeah.
spend any money. That's why
Yeah.
you don't have a team. It's the
Right.
bottom line. If everybody else is spending the money, but you're not having a team. And the Patriots, they're under the cap now. I don't think they were going into the season, but they knew this was coming. When you're trying to build continuity and culture, and the reality is everybody wants that instant investment right now. It's you Pat Mahomes, go find another one. I'll wait. Go find one because there aren't any.
Right.
There's one
Right.
every generation if you're lucky.
Yeah.
What you're going to get is a game manager if he's good. If he's good, he's going to manage your game. Making those special plays, you're not being realistic. And I think that's the thing. And I wish Spags would stay because he did the coaching gig. It's not that just was New York. I don't think some people are just great at what they do. And Spags is a great coordinator, not good. Probably one of the best, if not the best, because he makes it work with who he has and he does it every week. Is the man's phenomenal as far as play calling and his instincts. Be the best defensive coordinator you can be. That's what I would say. You know, being the head coach, what does it do? Because really, what are you doing this for? You're doing this for championships. That's what you're doing it for. You're not doing it for you're doing it for the money partly, but at a certain point as a coach, you got the money you're going to get, bro. You know how many more yachts are you going to buy? At this point, it's
Right.
about legacy. And Spags, please stay. Don't leave. Just hang. As long as you stay right there. When Andy goes, you can go.
Well,
Or
I heard somebody today say though, Steve, if he wins another championship as an assistant coach, as a D coordinator, what does that really do for his legacy? So I get it. There has to be a certain level of pride for a guy like that to even be able to do what he does. To say, you know what, I want to be at the top. I want to make those decisions. I want to be the guy running the whole thing. And even if I wasn't successful before, there's always an opportunity that I've learned more. I've gotten better at what I do, and giving an opportunity, I can prove to everybody, including myself, that I can actually do that job and I can make that work. And
I
I
don't
get it.
He
disagree.
better he
I,
better make that phone call to Eric Bieniemy right now. Okay. I
I,
mean,
I would say look at Gunther Cunningham.
Yeah.
Gunther Cunningham was a fantastic defensive coordinator. He was a horrible head coach. Horrible. And generally, just like when you got that guy that's got it, which is Andy, everybody knew I went to Mizzou because of Andy. Not because Mizzou was great, but because Andy was a hell of a recruiter. He made me
mhm.
believe that Mizzou was going to turn this thing around and I was going to be one of the contributing factors. But that summer he left and went to Green Bay. It's like, well, shit, if you went to Green Bay, I'd love to go to Green Bay with you, but I'm in Mizzou now. But what that made me choose is between offense and defense. Because he left, I stopped being an offensive lineman and I went over to defense. And I'm saying that, and I love Spags. Like I said, I love Spags. Spags was linebacker coach when I was in Philly. Great man. Brilliant. I mean, absolutely brilliant when it comes to defenses. I think when you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, yeah, your ego says, man, I could be a head coach and do this same thing. Eh,
Right.
let's be real. You're in the middle of three-peat right now.
Yeah.
You guys win this one. What's next year? The potential for
Right.
four-peat.
Yeah.
So if Andy stays, why would I leave? Now, Andy leaves or retires, I'll either take over here or I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
That would be my thought. Because, again, where you get so caught up in chasing, in my opinion, the wrong thing. The thing we're all fighting for is Super Bowls. Bottom line. And who doesn't want to be a part of the Super Bowl franchises that the franchise team that does it all? You
A-
know,
Ask Tyreek Hill.
Ah, see, this is exactly what feeds in is that just because you fit here doesn't mean you're going to fit there. And this is a piggyback on what Steve said. There are guys that were made to be position coaches. that if they become D coordinators are horrific. They implode. There are guys that are coordinators that when they become head coaches, they are horrific because they implode. It is the ego along with a little bit of people pushing you with that money saying, hey, come over here, the grass is greener, we're going to give you a chance, and you end up like Antonio Pierce or Eric Bieniemy, where you're 1 year in. After 1 year, maybe there's a change of head at the GM or the head coaching level, and they cut you. They get rid of you. And the problem is that you were good where you were at, and you could have made a legacy, Eric Bieniemy, where you were at. Okay, but now you're out. You for
You're
all
asking really good. You're just out
now,
getting optimistic
now you're
things.
watching football.
So,
Okay, now you're prognosticating like us.
well,
So
like Tyreek Hill, he's sitting there with both his pockets stuffed. He can't put any more money in his pockets.
no, you can't.
He walked out of that locker room and was hotter than fish grease because he's hurt that his partners, his boys that he came in the league with are going to get another championship, not one, but another one.
Another one.
And you could have been there for those two too.
Yeah.
Oh man, your stats would have been who knows what. And what would you have
Off the
done?
chart.
What would you have done? You would have took probably $10 to $20 million less.
That's
You
right.
would have been $100 million player. You just wouldn't have been 150, 140, whatever you got. You just wouldn't have been that. You wouldn't have been the highest paid player. But again, this is about putting things in perspective and understanding that, yeah, the money's good, but at a certain point, it's got to offset with the championships. It'd be different if Kansas City wasn't a contender because of you and the people you were playing with. You guys were
Hmm.
the factors that made the difference for the team to win. And when you left, yes, there was a 2-year chasm since you've been gone, but we still winning. So now what?
We're on our third win of Super Bowl since you've been gone. Like
Since you've
we
been
already
gone,
won two since you left. So
and you ain't been,
that has to hurt a little bit too, though.
and you have to go through
Oh,
us.
it
You
hurts.
trying to go?
It
You
hurts
gotta
because
stay.
when you start seeing them,
Yeah.
when the boys are together in the off season,
Ooh.
they bring that bling. They let everybody know.
Ooh.
I'm like, oops, I didn't mean to hit you with it. Oops,
Ellie,
did that
just
get you? Did that
just
get
do
your
like Dick,
face right there?
like Dick Vermeil when Dick Vermeil was coach here. And I used to go to that press conference every Tuesday and cover that press conference. And it was so often you'd hear him bang that ring on the podium just
Yep.
to let you know, just so you can remind you that I got this ring on right now, and you guys don't have one of these.
I got a story, Jax. Uh, I was sitting at the table with, if you remember who Irv Cross was,
Absolutely.
CBS NFL. Okay. Oh, good friend of mine, God rest him. And uh, we were in River Falls at breakfast, and Dick had passed his ring around the table.
Mm.
Okay, and it stopped with me, and I put it on. And as I'm walking out of the lunchroom, Greg Robinson, the D coordinator for Kansas City,
Yep.
stops me and says, "Excuse me, you have coach's ring." Now listen, I knew that, and I think Greg knew that, but we threw it up to, oh, I must have forgotten.
Yeah, I
Okay,
just slipped my mind.
and I came back because I knew it would get me at least a conversation with Dick Vermeil,
Right.
and it did. It exact. He said, "Were you really going to steal my ring?" I said, "No, sir. I don't really. First of all, I'm a reverend, but the other is this: I don't wear I don't wear trophies, or I don't get trophies that I don't win. I don't I don't believe in participation. So your ring would just be, it'd be a vanity play that had Vermeil's name on it.
Right.
But that is the ring, the one that he was smacking on the podium
Yeah.
that I had put on my finger, and Irv Cross on the way back to Minneapolis, he looks at me and he says, "I really can't take you anywhere." And I go, "You won't be." And
Hmm.
I said, "If that bust of uh, Lombardi that sits in your office wasn't that heavy, I'd have already clept that too."
I
Because the
got you,
Lombardi
fam.
family, the Lombardi family gave Irv Cross the Hall of Fame bus for Vince Lombardi.
Wow.
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 Each Hall of Famer gets one that is put in the
Hall of
archive,
Fame.
the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
and they also get one to go home. And the only reason I know that, the second one I saw was Carl Ellers at his house. So I've got pictures with he and I standing there in front of it. But I remember the first time I walked into uh, to Irv's office, and I'm looking at it going, "Well, that ain't Irv.
That
That
ain't
looks
her.
more like Vince Lombardi." And he goes, "The Lombardi family bequeathed that to me after Vince's passing." So
Wow. Yeah, I got to see Emmett Thomas's. His was in his house. That was one
yeah,
of my
oh yeah, I
that
love
that
Emmett Thomas.
that in the Wheaties box with his face on it. That was the best.
Yeah,
Well, I tell you what, somebody obviously is going to get their face on the Wheaties box and another Super Bowl ring this year. So we'll be looking forward to this wild card weekend as we get head towards that. I'm also very much looking forward to this college football playoff weekend
Hmm.
because we got game Thursday night and Friday night. Obviously, we got some great competition there with Ohio State and Notre Dame. That's going to be a battle right there.
I think that this playoff thing is something spectacular.
yeah, I'm
Because
excited.
we're done with that trash talking about, oh, you guys didn't play this person, oh, you didn't play that person. It's like, yeah, getting into and being in the top 12 is the first hill to climb, but after that first round, it's like, to hell with this. Like, you're gonna either ball or you ain't. Oh, that's NFL. There we go. So like, Oregon, just everybody just knew Oregon was gonna win. They're gonna be there. There's no stopping them. Wrong. Ohio State put them hands on them, and they was merciless about that.
Yeah.
Uh, Same with
Ohio
Georgia.
State, Texas. I'm sorry.
No, no, but
Coming
after
up, coming up this weekend.
coming up, there's Ohio State, Texas.
Yeah, yeah,
But for Ohio State to beat the brakes off of Oregon is
yeah.
basically like, okay, we remove all doubt. You
Right.
got us once, congratulations. You ain't getting us twice.
Yeah, yeah.
And to me, that's just big boy pants. It's like, talk all the shit you want. You got to
Right.
show up on game day,
That's
and
right.
it comes down to running in defense. If you
Yep.
can run the ball and shut people out on defense, you're going to be they say it. Defense wins championships.
Yes, it
And if
does.
you can't shut people down, you are not going to win the championship. It's just not going to happen. And you don't want to give these fancy quarterbacks. And I take nothing from them. I mean, the game has just changed. I can't remember who it was saying. So somebody, us back in the 80s and 90s, we built our whole weight off of being bigger, faster, stronger.
That's
That was
right.
just what we had to be. But now, it's performance. Can you catch?
Absolutely.
Can you out hustle? Can you out scheme? Can you out do whatever? Because you got defensive linemen coming in at 246. I mean, that was unheard of when I played. There was
Right.
nobody less than, if you was Baja Mila was the first one of those people, and he was 265, and he was probably 2% body fat. But when
Right.
I tell you them big 370, 380 tackles was pushing down on his little butt, he didn't want to play on the run, but he loved being in there on the pass.
Yeah.
And people were coming more and more advanced. So that's what I'm seeing with college football is that there's still a mix of downhilling and playing rock solid defense. Because to me, that's what Ohio State's got.
Yeah.
Is they just got a rock solid defense. They got guys that can tackle in open space. They're not afraid to drop the hammer on you. Uh, they're only apprehensive on the quarterback, but that's it.
And I guess the quarterback at Ohio State made a heck of a good decision leaving K State to go to Ohio State. I mean, wow.
Well, you think, yeah, they picked him up. But so this college playoff is to me it's going to be the closest to a legitimate champion
Yeah,
that I think we've seen in decades
Right.
in a
because
long time.
they're going to earn it.
And I got to tell you, I really like Marcus Freeman, the head coach at Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Uh, they have not had a chump schedule. They
no,
played Indiana, and then they had to go to Georgia, and
yeah,
now guess what? They're sitting here
But they
thinking to
lost
themselves,
to NIU. They lost to NIU,
they,
and it's like, but that
right,
was somebody
right,
looking. They were looking past NIU. NIU was
they
saying, "We
were.
past you. We're coming at you," and that's the reality of sports. Is you
And hey, NIU is no joke.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean they're a good, solid football team. That it's kind of like when Appalachian State beat Michigan. You catch somebody on the right day, it's kind of like Tyson getting knocked out by homeboy.
Buster
Back
Douglas.
there, Buster Douglas had his day.
you
That's
can't
right,
pass
Yeah,
anybody. If you are a true competitor and you really out there, you got to come with your A game every game, and
and you better.
that's easier said than done.
it
Because
is.
Right,
that's the hardest part with college kids is it's still big for them. They're still, unless you're coming out of Middle Texas where they
Yeah,
got 25, 30,000 fans. No high school kids coming into this with more than 6,000 fans.
right.
right,
You So walking in that stadium with 75,000 screaming fans, and you're playing with men that are almost grown, and you're just a baby. I mean, it's you saw it. That's what I saw when Georgia had to play Alabama.
right.
The game was just too big for those young kids. It just was, and that's the reality. And does he have to mature? Yeah. Does it mean he's a terrible player? No.
No.
There's no way to learn that but through it. That's the only way to learn it, and you got to
And
go through
I'll
it
be
That's
I'll
sometimes.
be
right.
And
interested to see what Penn State's able to do against Notre Dame. Penn State's kind of one of those teams that people kind of discount a little bit. Everybody, there's such a huge fan base for Notre Dame, but that's going to be a really good matchup. I think that's going to be a really close game and a game that's going to come down to the final play. I mean, I think both of those teams.
what happened with Penn State though is they had to put their big boy draws on because they realized we can't just walk through. We got to fight all of these
Right.
games. Take none of them for granted. They had to grow the hell up, and we watched them grow up on live TV because
Yeah,
they didn't have a choice. And sometimes you got to be put in that, and that's what I like the most about these playoffs is because you either man up or bitch out. That's what you got to do.
straight up. So Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State, Notre Dame. That is going to be. I mean, add that in with Wild Card Weekend, and man,
Hmm.
that's a football
Football heavy.
fan's fantasy right there,
Yes, it
man.
is.
Get your popcorn ready.
Get your
It's going
popcorn
to be
ready.
fun.
Absolutely. So, uh, that obviously talking about the college football playoffs, even as we always do, we're always going to talk some NIL around here. And this week, one of the big stories is the idea and the schools and states that are allowing the NIL money to filter into the high school level, and what effect that's going to have long term. As you see, we got the map up right now, and there are several states that are not allowing it at this point, which I don't understand. I think that's crazy. Why not? But then you got so many places, even a state like Texas that's not completely sold on it yet, which is very surprising to me. But talk about, Steve, in particular, what do you think about this situation with the lack of participation by some of these states in the NIL situation for the high school kids?
Well, the worst part is that every state that's prohibiting it is guaranteeing the state next to them the opportunity to get their athletes. Because now there's no, you literally should make the investment. And I would say this to any parent that has a kid that's a prospective kid. make the investment in your kid being a pro athlete. Just do it because you can get paid in high school. And once
That's
they
right.
start really putting the money down, and who's going to do it? The national guys are going to be the first ones on the table because they want to catch Caleb Williams in his eighth grade year. They want to catch Deion Sanders seventh grade year. That's what they're going to try to do because they got national money. It goes everywhere. And if they can grab the top three kids in any position in any state, they'll say, "Hey, we'll pay for you to go from Missouri to Kansas. We'll pay for you to go from Illinois to Indiana," and that's what's going to wind up happening. And it is what it is what it is. Because when you really think about it, once the NIL starts to stabilize itself, that means college athletes are going to be pro athletes.
Yeah.
If I could go to college at 18 years old,
Yeah.
get a 4-year, $4 million deal,
Right.
that's more money than I'm gonna earn with whatever career I come out of college with. Because
Correct.
nobody pays like that coming right out of college. Will you make that over time? Absolutely. But right out of
Maybe.
college at 22, 23 years old, you already got $4 million in your pocket. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
I mean, this is the kind of things that you got to start thinking about. You, as a parent, you got to start thinking long term, and you're trying to put your child in the best investment opportunity for them to make as much as they possibly can as soon as they can. Because what is it when you walk out of college, 22 years old, with $4 million in your pocket? I probably would be dead. That's just me because I was not disciplined. I didn't have any. I just probably would have been dead. Uh, but
That's
if
why
you're
they need simple plays.
exactly
That
why you
chinchilla fur jacket would look good on me.
yeah. I mean, the fireplace in the middle of your Range Rover, that'd be even better. Wood burning fire Range Rover.
Throwing $100 bills in to keep the place warm.
Keep it
Oh
that
hot.
that
yeah,
Hellcat screaming down the road at
that's
125 miles
it.
an hour.
Yeah, I'll
That's
change
it.
that to a Banshee. But the thing is that in understanding where marketplaces are moving, and that people don't understand how big this Vegas money is. This they what we didn't even keep up with it. But at 4 weeks in of the NFL season, the betting houses were at 10 billion. 4 weeks in, that's the NFL. What about college football? What about college basketball? They don't even talk about those numbers. They don't want to publish that shit because they don't want to tell people that they're making billions and billions of dollars off of your kids' numbers.
Right.
And if you just got 25% of those numbers, I
Mm.
mean, your life is set as far as economics.
Yeah.
And the reality is that these every state that prohibits it from happening is going to make the state next to them more bountiful in the sports industry. And the sports industry is going to be a real product maker for the state. And it's no different than corn, soybeans, or any other product that you manufacture and produce. You're going to have,
You're gonna watch the talent move.
yeah, and they're going to leave your state. And you're going to be like, why are we not having any quality state championship games? Because your talent left. Because
It's gonna be just like private and public schools where everybody, the Rockhursts of the world, they get all the talent. I'm speaking specifically about Kansas City. I remember when Tony Temple and oh gosh, who was the wide receiver there that was with him? Went on to anyway, played at Mizzou. No, played at Mizzou. Um, I remember those guys. They walked through the top 25 in the USA today. But the reality is this: you're going to see a lot more of that. You're going to see the IMGs of the
Yeah.
world. You're going to see the
That's what
private
you're gonna
schools.
see.
No, you're not going to see the modern days. You're not going to see the Miami North highs. And the
Mm.
reason is because unless they're competing with that money's leaving with the kid, and the kid's going to go where the money's at. And you
Yeah.
know what? Since the money is legal, not illegal, but legal, why not? And I agree with Steve. If you're a parent right now, it's just like if your kid has a lemonade stand. It's time to teach them how to run a business, and that business is them. They are their own LLC.
I'm
And
not
when
just, as Jay Z said, I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. And that's what it is. These guys are a business, and it'll
Right?
be real interesting to see how this continues to play out. With this, with the money and the portal, like this thing is so crazy right now. It's unreal. The ability for these kids to not only get the money, but they can leave and go get more money wherever they want, whenever they get ready to. You can just walk away and go get you some more money, and that's just absolutely nuts to me. But that's what it is, and we'll see how they play all of that out. So I tell you what, guys, we're getting ready to wrap this thing up today. Just so you guys know out there, make sure you check us out anywhere you can get a podcast, YouTube. Make sure you check us out at Takeover Sports, Amazon, iHeart, Apple Music, anywhere you can get a podcast. You guys make sure. If you want to send us a text, you can get in on the show next time. 816-284-6583 is the phone number. So we just, man, what a great time, what a great weekend of football this is about to be. I'm coming off the chains with it. I'm so excited. So, Big Steve, get us what's the last word today for you, brother?
hey, this is a great time in football. The holidays ain't over yet. We got
That's right.
playoffs all the way to the Super Bowl and the national championship game coming up. So we still got football holiday going on.
That's right. It's a holiday. Rev, as always, last word goes to you, brother.
Don't fight a battle if you don't gain anything by winning.
There it is. This is the Locker Room Show. This your boy Big Jax. Thank you, Steve Martin. Thank you, Rev. We are out. Peace.
Peace. Be well.
Later, fellas.